Hello, this is Mr. Wyrick. I'm here to talk to you today about lesson 8.5, the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. This is the fifth lesson from chapter 8. It's after the mid-chapter review, the mid-chapter test. So what we're looking at here is basically what's happening with me and this camera, or what would be happening if you're looking up at something generally. We're talking about an angle of elevation or an angle of depression. So you'll need to make sure you get the definitions of both of those down in your notes, but I've got a picture here that you might kind of put with those, and I put me looking at some kind of pyramid over here, but on this little stick figure I've got an angle of elevation. That's what angle in degrees I have to look up and see the top of whatever it is. So if I'm looking at a straight line up here at the corner of the board, what's my angle of elevation? If I have to look at something really tall and I'm very close to it, it's going to be a really large angle of elevation. If I'm at a long distance and it's a smaller angle, I'm going to be able to calculate distances. Okay, you're going to be using sine, cosine, tangent, the Pythagorean theorem, all of those different things to calculate the heights of various objects in this exercise based on either their angle of elevation or angle of depression. Keep in mind that if we have the top of it here, the angle of depression is from level down to where I am. And if I'm down here, my angle of elevation is from level up to where it is. The things you have to watch out for when you're working these is that they ask me for the height of this pyramid, and they say I'm standing however far away from it, 20 meters, and I'm 1.85 meters tall. You would calculate, this distance would stay the same, that 20 would stay the same, and you would calculate then this height based on your angle of elevation. So if we're looking at it, we need to do tangent on this one. We've got the opposite. We don't have the opposite. We have the adjacent, and we have the angle. So the tangent of this angle would be the opposite over the adjacent. So we'd be able to multiply this by the tangent of my angle and get that height for over here. But then when you get that height, understand it calculates the angle of elevation from where I'm looking. So I'd have to add this 1.85 to that. However many meters I get for this, I would need to add my 1.85 because that's my height in that case. Most of these are just a way for you to utilize your sine, cosine, and tangent, your trig ratios. So remember that the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So based on what measurements they're giving you out of that triangle, you should be able to calculate what it is that you are missing and solve these problems. The easiest ones and the ones where you'll be basically using the trig ratio, but you won't have to do a lot of calculation as far as it goes on the calculator. You'll just have to do the inverse, is when they will want the number of degrees. Without going into any kind of specific examples, that's going to be the information that's covered. I'll need you to work 4 through 24. Be careful on these today. They are all word problems. If they don't already have a picture accompanying them, I would say go ahead and draw a picture accompanying them to help you remember which part you have and where it's supposed to go. As long as there are no other questions about this, we'll see you in class.